This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your live market chat. Monday, September 11th, 2023. Hopefully you're having a decent day. It's kind of a choppy, sloppy day, OPEX day. Monday, surprised we opened up, but then some part of me is not surprised either. You know, there's always got to be a headline. There's always got to be something to trigger some volatility, especially the ability to kill the VIX. However, as we get into it, you know, seeing the Tesla upgrade, seeing some of the stuff that's going on, it's not too surprising. So, gonna leave this open to chats, whatever people want to say, whatever they're looking to do, and I'll drop this in again. If you have any questions, drop questions in the chat. I appreciate it. So, at this point, as of right now, Monday of OPEX, if you have not watched the Back to Basics videos on options expiration, man, I think I have 3 of them on here. Maybe 2. I can't remember. Either way, check them out. It's well worth it. I mean, here's the first one. I'll drop it in the link. Leave a comment below. Let me know your feedback if it's confusing at all. Hopefully it's clear as day how obvious some of the stuff is at times and how easy it is. So, yeah, can I get a mic check? Just 1 second. Just making sure everyone's in here. I usually get some comments coming in. Mic check 1 2 1 2. And stream says like we're streaming. Start recording. Start virtual camera. I don't have a virtual camera. All right. Well, I'm assuming we're good at this point. But let's get into some of the names. Okay, cool. It's working. Awesome. I appreciate it. I think a lot of people, and again, have in their mind that every day the market's going to get destroyed. In a downtrend and an uptrend, it's going to go up. If you go check the Stock Traders Almanac, the next 3 days say they're bullish. Again, we'll see. I mean, you got that epic Morgan Stanley upgrade today on Tesla. Now, again, if you want to pull that up real quick. And one of the things that this is what we talk about in trading is that there's going to be times where you can't control upgrades. If you shorted the 50-day and it failed and then it gapped up today, you either stop out at the open and then wait. Or if you had a layered in position and you're like, well, you know what? How much higher could it go? You can define your risk here and start looking to re-short more. Again, it's one of those things where if you're all or nothing trader, you got to be careful. And I've said this 1,000 times. I like other trades better than shorting Tesla, right? Tesla is coming off a 700 price tag or whatever, 400 something. I guess, sorry, that was pre all those other splits. Yeah, shorting at the 50-day on a dead cat bounce makes sense. Made sense. I mean, again, it's one of those things where hindsight's 50-50 or, 20-20. Of course, I would have traded the same if I wanted to, but Tesla was not one of the ones that I had high on my bucket list as of right now. Again, semiconductors, certain tech names, amazing. But now what you got, you'll probably be waiting for this 270s, mid 270s. You're getting close. Let me get comfortable in my chair. There we go. There we go. All right. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. And this is why people who believe in certainty in trading don't realize, like, you're certainly going to get whacked around. All or nothing trading. So, Caterpillar, I mean, that's one of the ones that I've been trading a lot of. Every time this thing bounces, I short it. I mean, you can trade around it as you want and then maintain your position. It's very obvious. I mean, we still love the NVIDIA short. It's breaking the 50-day. Now, again, could it do its own thing this week? Maybe. But still, I think this is going to get sold at some point. So I don't want to get too cute with my entries. SMH looks good. Breaking the 3-day range. We talked about a professional gap, and look what it did. Just 3 days. But it's one of those things where I hope people realize, like, it's not that big a deal because it does that, right? Does this make sense? Like, you have a 3-day range. Can that happen? And then it goes? Yeah. We've talked about multi-day ranges 1,000 times. Like, if you're just expecting always boom, 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 you just got your head in your ass. I'm sorry to say. Meta talking about getting a little pumped today. Again, if you're watching this short, I know folks are liking Microsoft short. I mean, I agree. I mean, I'd like the price action to be a little more trappish today. We'll see. But could you fill the gap? I mean, that's always got to be back in your mind. I personally don't have a position on it, but it makes sense to me that people would be looking for shorts. So Netflix, yeah, waiting for it. 340s plus. I mean, I guess you could, any pop is a short at this point, in my opinion. Any short at this point. I don't think this stuff holds up. But this is the thing, define your risk. I mean, no matter what I say, you're the one who has to be liable for all your actions. Micron, we talked about this 71 area. Looks good to me. Taiwan sent me this thing's a dog. Any pop. But it might be stuck here for a couple days. Maybe it gets to 200 day, but it takes out this level. It's adios, arrivederci. Apple's got their conference tomorrow. I think a release. No, is it the 15th or the 12th? I guess whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we talked about it wouldn't fill the gap. Does it have to fill this gap? You don't know. I'd be watching the 20-day, and now you have a 2-day range. Could it rip over into the Apple, into their conference? Potentially. But remember, it's usually buy the rumor, sell the news. And so people are getting smart at that. I don't think it's going to hold up. Again, the iPhone 15, as of right now, I don't know of anything that's monumental about what they're doing, other than just throwing a 15 in front of it and saying the camera's a little better and the processor's better. I mean, it's all the same stuff. I think if anything, they'll sell probably a lot more 14s at a discount. At this point, yeah, Amazon, not surprised it kind of ran back up. I mean, with OPEX, it's tough to know. But now you're getting the clearly defined double top coming. I'd be on red alert for this one later in the week to absolutely pound this one with a short. What else are we kind of watching? Watching XOP because, again, I don't trust oil. Man, it's got multiple days up here just chopping around. And this feels like a novice gap. And then look at today's candle. Now, the volume isn't huge, but oil names to me make sense to short if this thing does what I think it's going to do. Because if this is a novice gap, you're trapping up. Now you open high, close low. Coming into resistance. It's tough to know for sure. It's tough to know like what day. And this is where I tell people swing trading. Like, what day does it all turn? I don't know. I really don't know. XLF got a little bounce this morning up into the gap again. Or the old gap zone. It doesn't seem to be really digesting it well. KRE tried to bounce this morning. I was watching this. Man, nothing, a whole lot of nothing. XBI can't even get over 80. What was it? Let's look at the transports because these things have gotten beaten. Holding the 100-day, which again, it fills a gap, chopping around. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be. I mean, at this point, let it play out. That's how I look at it. Where's this fib coming from? Let's start it over. Again, paying attention to the transports here and there. Here and there. Not surprised if that's at the 0.382. Close enough. Okay. Yep. It could be one of those things. Again, rotation, money coming in and out of tech, moving in around materials, moving out. Again, just chopping. So, all right, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Scott, you got one. You can ask me about Walgreens. If so, just move on. I had this conversation in the Discord room. It's like, is it due to balance? Is it oversold, high volume? I guess you could argue all of those things. But is it the easiest trade? Is it what you want to pay attention to? Is it by far the best trade out there? I haven't looked at Walgreens today. I don't really even watch it. It's, again, a lot of these retailers, I think they're all kind of crushed. What is it? Wow, what is Walgreens? That was WAG, no? Oh, gosh. But here's the thing. I mean, here's the problem. Oversold in a market that's heading down doesn't tell you. That's not a good sign. It's not a good sign acting like crap. No. Walgreens is not like Intel. No, they're not even on the same boat. Intel's got government support. Thank you, WA. For chip sector. Nobody's bailing out Walgreens. Ain't nobody bailing out Walgreens. No one gives a shit about Walgreens. Excuse my language. They just don't. It looks like a retailer in the freaking dump zone. Like in literally the heading to a new Lowe's trade. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't get back down to 21. I mean, the trade is ugly. Again, I just don't know why people go fishing for trash in the garbage bin. I don't know how low this thing can go. I mean, why would you go long it? There's so many better other trades out there for shorting than longing this trade. It makes me like want to grab someone by the neck and just look them in the eye and say, are you serious? Are you serious? Is this really the best trade? Is that you want to look at buying Walgreens? And I go, that's total waste of time. That's almost like some sort of 18s. Who cares what price? I mean, who cares what price? Like, is there really the best trade is to look at longing Walgreens? That's some deep-seated subconscious losing mentality kind of shit. Because again, my mentors would always say, if a dog's got fleas, why are you going to try to adopt it? I don't know what price range it needs to get people to squeeze it. But again, if I think the market's going to be heading lower in time, why would this one, what's the affinity with this one? There's so many stuck buyers that it's going to be dead. Anybody who bought is now trying to get out. This thing is, ugh. Now again, at what point? I don't know. It just, again, you go fishing in the trash. Don't be surprised you don't find you find dirt. Yeah, but they're not the same though. KRE is not the same as Walgreens. Intel is not the same. No, they're not the same. Jesus fucking Christ. They're not the same. Walgreens is a retailer. There ain't nobody bailing out Walgreens. KRE, the banks. Feds could always throw money in it. Intel being government sponsored, literally with government subsidies. Nobody is bailing out Walgreens. Do not compare them to, no, not even the same. Not even the same. Zero remoteness. One's a retailer that no one gives a shit about and will not bail out. Intel will get bailed out because it's considered, at this point, a government subsidized importance. And the banks will always, the rumors will be there. Oh, that's thinking so bad. Anyone else who's been trading long enough, please jump in. Feel free to say something. Because again, we've all done this. We've tried to catch a piece of crap at the lows when a market's going lower and go, what was I thinking? I spent all that emotional energy looking at something and it's like, well, couldn't you look at shorting or doing other trades? It's such a waste of emotional capital. Again, you don't know. It's probably going to go lower than you think. That's typically how these things work. They go higher. Remember, blow off tops, go higher than you think, and lows go lower than you think. And you'll probably see, like it looks like it does. It typically has choppy tops and bottoms. I mean, could you get a V? I don't know. Oh, just such a, I mean, again, if you were like, this is the lifestyle of people want to trade, is looking at catching trash. Again, this doesn't follow the market. So if the market's up, this thing's still been down. Okay, unless you want to invest lots of time and energy into message boards trying to get an edge, call the AMC folks. Let them know, ask them how that goes. Right? Like everyone at some point will say, oh, it's a squeeze play. You know, it's a squeeze play. I've seen this trash floats. I've seen it too. But it's hard to predict. If we're going into the next leg of the down market, these things are not going to be safe. Again, I wouldn't even want to play a bottom in this. What's the relative value of it? No one knows. It's tough, man. It's tough to break old habits. Their fundamentals are not good. If the fundamentals are good, the stock isn't getting destroyed. Oh, I hate that stupid value trap proposition. Oh, the fundamentals are good. It doesn't matter if it's under book value. There's a reason why shit trades under book value. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're reading shit. Retail dog shit. Again, things can trade under book value. The fundamentals aren't good if the stock is acting like it. They might have cash flow. They may have had a steady dividend. But somebody knows something. And they're not telling retail that, that's for sure. If it was really that good, the stock wouldn't be plummeting. The stock would not be, you gotta like ask yourself when everything is bullish out, because I've seen the same crap. Oh, the dividend yields 8% and this and they're doing great. Look at the stock. It doesn't matter. The fundamentals don't matter. Somebody knows something. That's the point here. Somebody knows something. Big money is the one selling it. The fundamentals. No, markets doesn't give a shit about fundamentals. It's either things are good or they're bad. That's all it really is. You can argue for whatever because valuations don't matter. Valuations don't matter. Look at stocks at their highs. The valuations don't make sense. At the lows, the valuations don't make sense. Is this not fucking crystal clear? It doesn't matter. Tell me the fundamentals on NVIDIA deserve to trade at whatever hundreds of times cash flow or whatever the stupid, at one point, what was it trading at? Valuations, again, they don't make sense. Well, at the lows, when the stock gets actually pummeled, what do you think they're going to be screaming to get people to buy? Someone has to be the liquidity. The fundamentals are good. You see this argument over and over and over. That's why I tell people, stop reading the news. If the fundamentals were good on Walgreens, it doesn't go from 42 down to 21. And who knows how far and how low it could go. What if somebody, and this is what I always go back to, what if something's wrong with the books? What if someone's been cooking the books? What if the CEO did this? I've seen this so many times. You just get, that's why you don't go dumping into the trash. You got to be careful playing in the trash. Maybe it bounces, maybe it goes to zero. I've seen that 1,000 times, either or. It's a good learning lesson. People don't see it. They just don't see it. Oh, the fundamentals are good. It's a value. I hate the value trap idea. Because again, if you want a value trap, then you might as well get comfortable too holding it. Because it's probably not going to rip back until they do what? Cut the dividend, start cutting jobs, cutting off weak stores. We're not even if we're at that point, great. If we're not, then it's a value trap and you're going nowhere. You're investing in something going sideways. Just waste of time. That's all I'll say on that. Yeah, Walgreens. Every Walgreens I go to sucks. I agree. I don't go to Walgreens. Never. Again, and think about too, if we're going into a recession, are all of these retailers going to survive? No. Video watching the 50-day. Good old First Solar. I think this thing's going to break that 173 point. It doesn't matter. The fundamentals don't matter. How many times do I have to say that? Either everything's good and the market's good, or everything's bad and the market's bad, or you're stuck in a chop zone. Period. I hate arguing fundamentals because it's subject to interpretation. It's subject to interpretation. The market is all about hyping. Hyping at highs, hyping at lows. It's always a repeating pattern. That's why things go lower than you think, and they can go higher than you think. Yeah, we can go into CAT. Absolutely. Thanks for asking, Danny. All right, again, watching these levels. I've been trading around. Every time it pops, short it. $1 take a little off. It's that simple if you want to do it. The monthly, again, this thing's been a straight line move. Straight line moves typically what? At some point get sold, right? You can draw you can see there's a channel up here. You got it. You're at the higher end of channel. It's just months. So that's why I always tell people, like, all right, if you can identify a trade and you got to be patient, be patient. Hold on, let me share that and all. Cool. You can see on the weekly, building, chopping around, channel highs. It's pretty typical. You'd love to see it V, but this one was a pretty straight line move. Well, I don't know what to do from 90 to $1.80. That was the double. It basically has doubled. Again, fundamentals, I don't know. I'm not going to argue. People say, oh, Caterpillar is amazing fundamentals. That's what people say to me all the time. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. Global growth, slow. So now you look at the daily and you go, it's just a matter of time. OPEX, I like seeing it gap up and close. I just give yourself time. I think that's the thing with people is they don't give themselves times with swing trading. You see this is clear. Novice gap, trap distribution. Now it's just playing the game. We talked about that being a great day to short. But then here it goes. Scott, stop talking about fundamentals. You're wasting your time because the only place you're getting your fundamentals are from news articles. That's the problem. Unless you're in finance and accounting, I am. I can read balance sheets, but even then, it doesn't matter. It's what is subject to interpretation. Fundamentals is subject to interpretation. Stop it. Read Jesse Livermore, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. For the love of God, you should know that book by now. You've been around. Talk about fundamentals. It's an absolute joke. I don't know. I think Deere had their earnings last week, if I remember right. What's good old Deere? Yeah, I mean, the whole sector looks fine to me. I mean, I think Caterpillar's been holding up because it's been one of the names in the Dow that has been constantly being pumped. And that's the thing. You can't be mad about that. It's kind of like NVIDIA. The more they pump it at the highs, the more distribution that when it does get rug pulled, there's no one left. It's the same thing with NVIDIA as it's played out. Like, look at the market's been holding up, chopping around. All right, gets up to 500. Boom. Well, what do you think happens at some point over this long distributive top pattern, Danny? It's going to get absolutely slaughtered because now there's no one left to buy. I mean, you're coming back down at some point, and it's going to be a straight line move, dumper. And when it comes, it's great. It's just put yourself in a position to have your time. So I keep telling people, if you want to buy NVDS, great. You got up near the highs, awesome sauce. If you got stopped out, you got stopped out. If you got puts, they're probably pretty expensive, but I mean, you're going to have to give yourself time, or you're going to have to trade around them. You probably take some off today if you want and look for a bounce. I don't know. There's no like secret sauce. The definition is of success in trading is who can lose the least and let their winners run. And that's where it's like sometimes looking at stuff that has already been crushed. Okay, well, again, not that you're going to play it up, but if you're looking to short it, you might not get that opportunity. Like we've been talking about some of these solar names for months, right? ENPH. Like, just give me a decent bounce. Give me a decent bounce. Sedge. None of these names. Nothing. And that's where once it starts, sometimes it's better just to let it go, trade around the positions, know that you get choppy at times, but that's where if I can get the confirmation in Caterpillar, I don't think, no doubt this thing's going to have somewhere in the 200 range on it. You could trade that. Again, it's pick and choose your battles. NVIDIA, you're going to trade it. I mean, it's going to be a $200 stock at some point. And here's the thing, again, when people say like Intel, look what Intel did, though. It went from 68 down to 24, and it has bottomed, right? In October. And it's considered leading up now. Walgreens is leading down as the market goes higher. Dangerous as fuck. Like, there's a huge difference. Man, they're not even close. Not even close. I hate fundamental talking. I hate that shit. Because I've seen more people get absolutely destroyed talking their fundamental book. And I'm like, where do you get your fundamental news from? Oh, I was reading message boards and I was reading news articles. And it's like, you're only getting the cherries, the rosy outlook shit. You're not getting real truth. You're not getting anything other than a bunch of just fluff. And again, if you look at it, looks like a nice little M pattern. It's just you don't know when this thing ends. I don't know why you wouldn't come back down to here. Now, it won't do that, obviously, in that direction quickly. That would be sweet if it did. Wouldn't bet on it. But, Danny, does this make sense? This is a novice gap trap. Here is the distribution into unlimited selling. Now it's playing the game as it's holding up with the market. It's just that simple, in my opinion. Now, again, I could be wrong. But look what happened last year. I mean, the same thing. It's when it peaked, comes down. Here it is, 230 down to $1.68. I agree with that. Oil does look toppy. I agree with that. Let me pull up oil on TradingView. Batman top. I don't know, man. I think it's just a chop top trap over a trend. into areas. Again, everybody's bullish oil. The problem is that I don't think people who know oil are watching oil service names because they're not acting as well. Today's action on XOP, you got to be super nervous if you're bullish. Because you made a double top and you're engulfing the previous day's gap. That doesn't look good. That does not look good at all. I would be very nervous about that one. We've talked about, like, look at what ExxonMobil's doing. It's kind of playing games up here. Another open high, maybe close low. Oxy, I mean, I'm pretty sure Buffett sold all his calls. Natural gas has been peeling back. It's just one of those things, right? PXD, oh, wow, 240 finally. Okay. If Jay Solstice is around, there you go. That's finally broken. 20-day. Yeah, ascending wedge. I mean, I've seen people call that. Again, it's just hard. These wedges are so subjective because you'll see times where they break over the wedge and then they fail and then they chop in the wedge and then they just go sideways. So, you know, it's a chop pattern of some sort. Every day is not the day it starts. You don't know. Man, ag retesting. What's the dollar doing? I'm just curious. It was down earlier. Yeah, it's chopping. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I like that PXD. I mean, you're starting to see certain names that are all looking. Say, let me look at EXT or EQT. This one's chopping 20-day. Let me open up my other workspace that has a ton of oil names. Just curious to see what they look like too. What's Chevron look like? Oop, that doesn't look good. How about good old Devon? Yeah, all these oil names look like they're cooked. That's interesting. Hess with the outside reversal candle. Fang banger at the low of the day. Okay, yeah. I mean, oil names look like a short. If you're watching this video, leave a comment below. Let me know if you end up taking it. I mean, again, I don't know if I would. Today would at the lows is the ideal short, obviously, but you definitely got some rollover potential here. Just curious, this MP. A lot of people like all these. Again, Rig's not a leader. Rig is not a leader. Housing names were oversold near term. Okay, yeah. AMC. Fucking idiots. Good God. Yeah, Southwest Energy. I mean, this one should be up in the... Yeah. Trading around positions. Well, again, that depends. Shares, options. You always got to know what your core is first. Say if you have 500 shares, is 200 your core? Like, what do you want to try to hold through most of the move? Or till an extreme overbought, oversold. Now, again, watching stochastics is, you might as well be, you know, again, I hate to badmouth that stuff, but it's really not predicting the market. It's just following the market. So if you like this price action, again, that's why I like 10-minute charts, because you can really, at extremes, you can see the action. Because again, there's no, you know, one touch, one bottom typically, right? It's, if you do the math, it's 70 to 80% of the time it's going to retest. And so, for example, like if you're watching Apple, I mean, look at it this morning. Here's your floor. It identified itself. Boom. If you're looking at like Cat, right? You know there's a ceiling up here, right? You could go even lower. You got your short, and then you got your position around. Okay, well, then you watch the 10 minutes. Candles start getting tighter, doji, higher lows, then you go. Now, that was a trap right there, right at the open, or in the first hour. But again, stochastics, I mean, I don't know what to tell you is the right answer with some of these things, because I don't really play that. I try to look at levels, right? It looks very obvious at times when you zoom out. you've got this, I'd say this 281 to 277. Some argue it's like a head and shoulders, but you could really dial it in even more. But here's sometimes the only thing I'm trying to do is I'm not even trying to play technicals for trading around a position. And this is where I think this is how it helps me sometimes, is like, I'm not trying to get every penny of that move. If I just want a couple dollars, I'll take the couple dollars, because I've seen it where I'm like, well, it's got to get back down to 279 before I think about taking the money off. It's like, man, if you got some shorts in the 284s and you got some in 280, great, done. Take your points, move on, and then come back to it again. And if it doesn't go, great. You still got your core position. Does this make sense? Because I think a lot of people get very technical versus like, all right, I'm just trading around a position. I'm trying to get the chunk in the middle. I'm just trying to get a few points here and there. And then if you feel like the position is confirming death, then you just let it ride too. I mean, there's a certain point though where this trading around this position up here is missing out on the bigger picture though too, right? Like, don't I at some point want to have a lot of shares, my larger position, if this thing is going to break? Again, if it wasn't OPEX, probably not trading around it. But sometimes I'll even do 1.5 times my original position. Right? Does that make sense? Like, you kind of have to, this is where cash becomes king, because there's no simple answer. It depends on your account size, and it sounds on your aggressiveness, your ability to watch the market. What are you up to? Are you going to trade around the position? How many points are you trying to take? Right? Well, if your time frame is the first hour, 2 hours, which the market can see the highs and the lows of the day, it can be pretty wide and loose, then that's sometimes the best time just to trade around it and take the points. Does that make sense? Like, it's really hard to know the right answer here, because the right answer, there is no right answer. You just don't know. That's where I think people, and again, they get really tied up in trying to be perfect about where their trade is versus like, all right, well, what's the bigger picture? Can I go from long-term to short-term? Can I go from short-term to long-term? Can I get my mind dialed in? Knowing that, all right, I want to be prepared for the big M fall. I will trade around the position if it's OPEX, sure. But if I didn't have to, if I didn't want to trade, I don't think, again, think about it. If you have shorts from the 280, mid 280s, and you don't want to trade, I don't blame you either. What's the purpose of jumping around and trying to pick every point out? Because at some point, everything will turn into like the Walgreens dump them, right? Do you really want to overtrade it? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. So I think a lot of people, again, like you got into the trade knowing that things can retest and they can chop around, right? Like that's the thing. Like, people don't acknowledge that. And that's where patience. And again, like, don't we all love it when something we buy just goes straight to the moon? Don't we all love it when something dumps? But the reality is, if you swing trade long enough, you're not getting that all the time. Unless you wait for certain setups. Like XOP to me is a dumper. Like, that is almost an outside reversal candle engulfing gap. 150. If it breaks the mid 150s, this thing's going right back to the 20-day instantly and filling this gap. Right? Like Tesla. Like, if you're shorting it today, are you really that concerned about the long term? I don't think I would be. If this is a lower high, and this is a trap, right? This is a bull trap, novice gap on a Buddy Pass Morgan Stanley upgrade, then yeah, I would ideally like to put in orders around the mid 270s, but could you start some today? Yeah. Just roll into your position, because I hate trying to be perfect, right? Remember we talked about sometimes you break the trend and then come back down? Well, imagine the people who are like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to wait till it gets to 300. Did Tesla get to 300? No, it got to 299 and change. Then look, gap, game over. Does this make sense? Like, again, if you're bringing a ruler and expecting to be perfect, sometimes part of the game is to play the game and trap and to get people to get comfy with certain things happening that when they don't, now they put the pressure on people to really do things. And usually they're going to do the wrong things, right? Does this make sense? Let's drip it. About at 9:30. Probably get back up in the 12 or 13 range. Does this make sense? Hopefully people get it, right? Like, this is what's so hard. If you're trying to be right all the time, it's like anything in life. You got to be very humble at times, knowing that you can't control everything around you. Now, you can control your reaction to things around you, but you can't control the action. And once people get to that point, they go, okay, if my power lies in my ability to react to the market, then I need to, at some point, just let it go with the flow at sometimes too. Does this all make sense? It's like Morgan Stanley. Like, you knew it was due to bounce. Okay, gets it. But if you had long-term puts on this and you were shorting this stock, I mean, it barely gave you a blip. You should be feeling good. Because once it breaks 82, it's over. Right? You get certain people who are just, again, they're trying to be perfect. And I understand, because you don't want to lose money. But you're going to lose out on opportunity by trying to always be perfect. XBI watching that. Yeah, I mean, oil has to hold here, literally right here. XOP. Kind of watching the hourly here. Come on. Where did it go? Where's all my drawing stuff? Just tap it. There you go. Oops. There it is. Is it that one? No. There it is. Y'all see this box here? Yeah, volatility's coming down too. Hasn't even started spiking. Okay. Interesting. Anyone have any questions? If not, I'll just wrap it up. I appreciate all the love and support, generous donation. Hopefully people are doing well. And again, it's like, I hate to be revisionist, but I said last week, I mean, you could short on the 50-day, but I didn't not like Tesla compared to, say, like NVIDIA or Apple or some of these tech names, right? Like, and then here's the problem, is this kind of crap happens. And then someone's going to lose their confidence and say, well, I messed up. And it's like, did you? Did you know how to predict a Morgan Stanley upgrade? No, you didn't. So don't give yourself, don't do that. Don't beat yourself up. If you have to take the loss, you take the loss. I'm telling you, the key to great trading is being able to minimize your losses when you're wrong. You have to survive. You just have to survive. It's like going and playing blackjack at a casino, and if you dump it all, you can't come back and play. You know, if the shoe's hot, you walk away. Dealer's hot, walk away. You're playing poker, you get bad luck, maybe step back for a couple hours, right? Like, it's just one of those things where you gotta be thoughtful of your emotions here and don't let them tank you down. So I feel bad for the folks who might have taken an L here, but now you can control your reaction. What's the next opportunity? Probably short up here. So, all right, no more questions, thoughts, concerns. I'm going to let it roll. I know Tesla fanboys and girls are going to be going, oh, this is it. This is the next move. We're breaking out. Well, I guess maybe you believe then the market's going to the moon, I guess. Let's pull those up and end those indexes. Holds a 20-day. I mean, fills this gap, tropping around. Again, I could see the market just playing games around here for OPEX. Sticking in this range. Qs, same thing. I don't know if there's much higher they can really go. Again, I just think we probably have this like tight action where they just destroy the VIX. And if you look at the VIX, it's at 13 and 95. I mean, how much lower can it go? I don't know. It's not much. And that's where I think at some point, I don't know if it's the CPI later this week, PPI, whatever. It could open the floodgates for the next move down in the market. So that's the thing. If the market is anticipating news, and it might not move in front of it, just keep that in mind. Like, remember that. If you've always seen me talk about that, sometimes when the market's waiting for something, kind of like the Fed weeks, sometimes the market can kind of just go a little flat, right? people aren't making big decisions. People aren't trying to do anything big. So I hope this helps. All right. I will talk to you guys and gals later. Peace.